Earlier this year, a friend of mine from Southern California came to Central California and asked if I'd show him the filming locations for Back to the Future 3. Shaun is somewhat well known on social media for his efforts to pose in exact locations where movies were shot and where famous people stood. What he finds is posted on his website, allaboutlosangeles.com, and he has a presence on Instagram. He certainly gets around more than I am able to. For example, in this photo, he's posing in front of Walt Disney's house, striking the same pose. He went to Dallas to stand in the same exact spot where JFK's life ended in Dealey Plaza. Shaun also gets to attend a lot of book signings in Southern California, such as the time here where he met Henry Winkler, who played the Fonz on Happy Days. Because he's a big fan of the Back to the Future trilogy, and particularly the third in the sequel, I was happy to show him around Tuolumne County. With his friend driving us around, we first visited Railtown 1897, which has some Back to the Future 3 props and the celebrated steam engine used in classics like High Noon. I visited this state park for decades and had videotaped parts of it last September. The water tank down the tracks was used in the TV series Petticoat Junction.
Petticoat Junction. It was a series. I think it went to 67, I believe.
Yeah, it was a TV show.
Yes.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Petticoat Junction.
The Boneyard is filled with spare train parts in case they're needed in the future. That's because they're hard to obtain and hard to reproduce.
Does anybody know what these are? They are the pipes that go inside the boiler, carry water, and make steam. And they've been pulled out of the engines. This stack was built in 1936 for use on engine number 18 and continued until the engine was retired in 51. And it appeared in the 1968 The Great Bank Robbery. This stack and the Virginia stack were used interchangeably between 1968 and the mid-1980s. This stack was built in 1929 for the Virginian and used on engine number 33 between 1929 to 32. It was then used for north of the Rio Grande.
Also on display at Railtown are props used in the 1978 movie World's Greatest Lover, which was a Gene Wilder comedy. It's entirely crafted of wood, but it simulates iron posts of a Los Angeles train station. This is the movie prop headlamp that was used on Engine 3 for Back to the Future 3, only they painted the number as 131. On display at Railtown is this fake caboose, which was used in the filming of Back to the Future 3. A fake was needed to sit lower to the ground so that Doc and Marty could leap off a horse onto the platform, which would have sat much higher with a regular caboose.
This is one of the props for The Adventure of Briscoe County Jr., a short-lived TV series created by Warner Brothers in 1993. So if you remember when the smokestacks started blowing, after Doc started all these things to make the engine burn hotter, smoke would come out the bottom and created by that hole right there. And if you come over here, this is the actual smokestack that blew apart.
Unfortunately, the most photographed train in the world, engine number 3, had been gutted for a major overhaul, but Shaun still got his pose in. I admit that I was thrilled to be able to see the front plate for engine number 3 on the ground and snap these photos of it. The same number has shared scenes with such Hollywood legends as Gary Cooper, Clayton Moore, Clint Eastwood, and Michael Landon. In Back to the Future 3, they modified the faceplate from a 3 into 131. Engine number 3 is a Rogers locomotive manufactured in 1891. It originally served the Prescott and Arizona Central Railroad before making its way to Jamestown, California. It has been painted numerous times for different films. While it's being repaired, number 3's cabin was removed from the back and was set off to the side. Under the shed, we caught a view of the rail car which was used in Back to the Future 3, the one in which Clara, played by Mary Steenburgen, was sitting when she interacted with barbed wire salesman Richard Dysart.
Excuse me.
Ma'am?
But was this man tall with
Great big brown puppy dog eyes and long silvery flowing hair.
You know him.
I was actually able to peek into the same rail car which Grace Kelly and Katie Gerardo used to shoot all of their indoor train scenes for the movie High Noon. Since we're talking about time travel, let's go back to September 2023, the day I attended the Back to the 1885 event in Columbia. I stopped by Railtown that day and learned something I'll show you in this video.
I just encountered a gentleman, a fan of history hunters, and he was telling me that he volunteers here, and he had some information to share with me. It's about what's in front of me here. This caboose right here is the same one that Michael Landon used for Little House on the Prairie. It was an episode called Runaway Caboose, but in the TV show it was painted yellow and it is now red, but it is the same caboose that was featured in that 1970s TV show. This is the actual inside of it, just to give you a chance to look at the inside.
Shouldn't catch anything in here. Don't hurt to look. Close.
I believe I've seen Michael Landon on this before. Saw a picture one time.
Backed by the Crocker family and other investors, the Sierra Railroad of California was founded in 1897 to connect the Central Valley to the Gold Country foothills of the Sierra Nevada. The line was finished on February 1st, 1900 and ran 57 miles from Oakdale to the town of Tuolumne. Railtown 1897 was purchased by the state of California and turned into a park in 1982. The roundhouse turntable here dates back to 1922. After we left Railtown and enjoyed a pizza luncheon in Jamestown, we headed to the Back to the Future 3 town site. Those of you who watched our video years ago will know that this town set was completely destroyed by fire, sparked by a lightning strike.
Video here.
So right about here is where you see the hoverboard. Hoverboard with Clara and Doc, and they float off in that direction, and you'll see those Table Mountain in the background, in the background of the scene as well. But they brought all the cast and crew through here, and the movie set's actually up here just a little ways. It's not very far.
Hanging out with history hunters, guys. We're out here in Jamestown, California.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Not in the boonies, but this is where they filmed Back to the Future 3, so we out here, guys.
I also shared with Shaun this is where I met Kenny Rogers and Bruce Boxleitner at this spot when they were filming here in that hot summer of 1983. So we're out hunting Back to the Future 3 set buildings that aren't here anymore. They were all burned in the 1990s.
I think this is one of the fence posts, or the fence boards. Is when he comes up, he comes past all these farms, they're like little barnyards. So they got these 2x4s and stuff that survived the fire. And look, there's some burn marks from the fire that took out this whole set here. So you'll find different things like that. I found electrical cords, which couldn't be explained to be out here other than the fact that they were used for movie production. So.
Since the fire took down the movie set of Hill Valley in 1996, it's hard to imagine the magic that happened here on this spot. Some brush has popped up where it wasn't before and some of the trees are down. But I did find these photos posted on Facebook of various set buildings to give us an idea of how things looked with the camera off.
So my friend Shaun here is trying to find a scene that we think was shot right here. The train's zipping down the tracks, and I identified this as a location, but I could be wrong. but we're in the general vicinity.
The train depot featured in the third and last sequel of Back to the Future was actually built before the Hill Valley set. Clint Eastwood had the depot built for his 1985 Western film Pale Rider, and it was left in place. I remember walking around the depot prior to the fire that ravaged the area. There are still quite a few nails near the tracks that drop from the wood of the loading platform, which was consumed by flames.
This is the actual spot where the DeLorean hooks up with the steam train, way back in Back to the Future 3. And so you see the train coming right around the curve, and right here it links up with the DeLorean. And there's a building that's kind of a mill building, lumber mill type building. That was right here. It burned to the ground. But yeah, right here is where the train meets the DeLorean, pushes it down the tracks into the future.
With the help of his friend, Shaun painstakingly lines up the landscape with a camera position of the movie shot to pose for a then and now comparison.
So we're doing a Back to the Future shot. This one here. Different time of day, different season.
This practice is what creates a following for his website and Instagram accounts. When he's by himself, he sets his iPhone on a tripod, gets into position, and takes the photo remotely from his iPhone watch.
Alright, just like that, I'll crop it. Alright, I'll send it to you.
I'm gonna be right there, just hold it still.
Tell me when.
This is the result that he posted on his Facebook page.
How long have you been wanting to come up here?
It's been
A couple years?
let's say 14 years I've been wanting to come here.
Huh.
2009.
Well, my video helped, right?
Yeah, that was I wouldn't be here without you, Jeff, so it's a good time. And it's good to be with someone that lived it.
That knows where it was, because I'm a local. And believe it or not, I found the fire ring. Michael J. Fox was camping around in Back to the Future 3. It's still here. I've been looking for this for quite a while and figured it out. Crazy. They left it in place. Check it out. That's so crazy. Hey, this is the fire ring. Do you remember when Michael J. Fox was camping?
Yeah, right.
Well, that was by this building. And I found it after all these years. It's still here. They left it in place.
And the smokestack from that building you were talking about.
Yeah, well, there's melted glass, and there's that chimney flue from it.
That's a big flame, though.
So this is it.
That's
This
cool.
is where that building was.
That's really
Wow. Pretty cool.
What do you think of this place so far?
It's a myth, and now we're actually here at the spot. So pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm pretty stoked to find this thing, man. So here's the chimney flue for the building that was here. It was actually Back to the Future 3. But it was made for a 1962 movie starring Peter Falk. And I also remember that building appeared in Gambler 2. It was a made-for-TV movie.
Where is he?
Wire said he'd meet us here.
Strange place for a business meeting.
Hutch! I'm here.
Oh, Mr. Hatch? I'm Arthur Stobridge. You're aware of what your duties are to be. It's really just a matter of discussing a fee.
$20,000.
I'm afraid $20,000.
About that price.
Mr. Hatch, I do dislike quibbling about money. $20,000 it is.
I'll never take assignment unless I know who it is I'm supposed to, take care of. The name's McCourt.
Bloody Charlie McCourt? Well, Mr. Hatch? What? Where is he?
But it was also in Back to the Future 3. If you need any more evidence that that building was here, there's broken glass, pane glass from the structure. It melted in a fire. See that? How warped it is? That's fire affecting glass, melting glass. And it's all over this area right here.
Not only was this stretch of track used in Back to the Future 3, but it was also the backdrop for countless other westerns. One of them being Something for a Lonely Man, a 1967 TV movie starring Dan Blocker, who was famously known as Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza. The locomotive was numbered both 3 and 8 for different scenes in the film. We trust that you enjoy this episode of History Hunters and invite you to check out 2 other videos that we did on Back to the Future 3. One being the first visit that I made here with Sarah in the early part of 2020, and the second being the Back to 1885 event celebrating Back to the Future 3 in September of 2023. Please let us know what you thought and share with any other fans of Back to the Future 3. Thank you so much for enjoying History Hunters.